everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel and to my April wrap-up. Assuming I am posting this shortly after filming it, it is for once not the middle of the month. It is actually April 30th, the day that I'm filming. It's like 7 o'clock at night, and I know I'm not going to finish anything else in the next 5 hours, so we're filming a wrap-up because I got my hair cut today, so it looks halfway decent. I have makeup on. We're rolling with it. So I'm not even prepared. I mean, I have wine, so that's a step in the right direction. So in April, I read 9 books. So I'm doing really good these past few months with reading. I don't know how far ahead of I am in my Goodreads goal, but I know I'm reading more than I need to meet my Goodreads goal. So that's good. So I'm just gonna read them in the order that they are written down in my bullet journal. I know that that's not the order that I finished them in because I sometimes forgot to put books in to Goodreads as being read. And I forgot to mark them as finished. So these are this is the order in which I marked them as read on Goodreads. So we're just going to, actually, you know what? I am going to tie a couple in together because I did read 2 books in a series. So I'm going to talk about those together and then go from there. So that is actually the first couple books I'm going to talk about, which are A Cup of Holiday Fear by Ellie Alexander and Nothing But Trouble by Ellie Alexander. Books 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 in the Big Shot Mystery Series. Both of these got 5 stars. I mean, guys, I'm really loving this series. I started off liking Sloane Krause a little bit better, but this series has definitely I don't want to say grown on me because I never didn't like it, but it definitely is up there in my favorites. Jules is around my age. We actually get a better glimpse of how old she is. She's actually 5 years older than me, because she was 5 the year I was born, which we find out in Nothing But Trouble. So she's around my age, so I can relate to her a little bit more than I can Sloane Krause. But anyways, we're not comparing Sloane Krause and the Big Shot Mystery Series. I all of that to say, both A Cup of Holiday Fear and Nothing But Trouble got 5 stars. Without giving too many spoilers because they are so far into a series, in A Cup of Holiday Fear, it is Christmas time. A lot of the book, you get Jules trying to get Lance into the holiday spirit. So Lance is Jules' best friend. He's the artistic director of the Shakespeare Festival. So he's a staple in all of the books, and she's trying to get Lance in the holiday spirit. So she's doing all these festive things around town. And then they also do a holiday party for all of the employees of Tort, and that is where the murder takes place, is during their holiday party. Then in Nothing But Trouble, this one, Jules finds her dad's old diary. So her dad has passed away when Jules was in high school. She finds her dad's old diary and she's like, oh, I'm gonna read it, get some insight into my dad when I was a child. And it's not exactly what she thought she was going to be reading, because it turns out that her dad helped the professor way back in the 80s when Tort was young, just fairly new. A lot of the locations that we see throughout the Big Shot Mystery Series, they're all new. The professor is young, Jules' mom is young. The professor is a new detective in Ashland, and the detective and Jules' dad end up kind of working on this case, and it's called the pastry case. And so her dad's journal talks about that, and so she basically goes to the professor and is what is this like my dad didn't want to say anything to my mom. Like now I know the secret. And so you get Jules talking to the professor and getting like the professor's insight on this cold case. It was never solved. Then you get the journal entries from her father, and then you also get like they start investigating this case again. And the thing that I really loved about this one especially is getting this like new perspective on Jules' mom and the professor, and getting to know Jules' dad a little bit more because he dies before the series starts. And like I feel like, and I said this in my vlog, I feel like it adds like a new dimension to the relationship of Jules and the professor. It lets her kind of see him in like a different light, like back in the day, because like Jules has always known the professor, but not in like that same capacity as like, oh, this like old friend of my father's. Like even though she knew that they were friends, like reading the journal entries and like her and like the professor and her father's relationship. And I feel like it allowed them to bond more. Not like they ever had a strained relationship by any means, but it was just a different layer to their relationship, and I really liked that. So 5 stars for both of those. I honestly am at this point where like I have pretty high expectations for Ellie Alexander books, and like I'm just going into them assuming they're going to be like 4 to 5 stars. So then I have 2 books that I do not have physically. I listened to both of these through the Libby app. The first one is Full Moon by Jim Butcher. That is book 2 in the Dresden Files series. I gave that 4 stars. That was technically a reread for me. It's just been a long time since I've read it, like 10 years or something. So I don't remember all of the like little details. I do like Harry Dresden is another of those like kind of like sarcastic smartass like male characters that for some reason I'm just really drawn to. I've said it before about other characters in other books. I like a sarcastic smartass guy, and that like Dresden fits that. In this one, as you might gather if you know anything about like the Dresden Files, so it's like, I think it's Chicago, and there is like, you know, Harry Dresden is a wizard, and there are other like paranormal, supernatural type creatures. And in this one, we follow some werewolves, and there are way more different types of werewolves than I was ever like really made aware of as far as fictional monsters go. But it was good. Yeah, no like major complaints. Like I said, I don't remember all of the details because I wasn't paying as much attention to it this time around as I should have been because it was a reread, but I mean, I didn't hate it. Then I listened to Royal Holiday by Jasmine Gilroy. This is book 4 in the Wedding Date series. I gave that 4 stars as well. I'm not going to remember the characters' names. You follow, this is going to drive me crazy. See, I want to say Lola, but Lola is the best friend of Pink in Port Danby. So it's not Lola. Oh my gosh. What is her name? You follow the mother of the best friend from the wedding party, and I can't remember her name. They go over something with an S, maybe, I don't know. They go over to England for a job, and she meets this British, he's like the assistant to the queen or something, like some like pretty high up position. And they kind of start hanging out, and she ends up like staying an extra few weeks or few days in London, and you know, they end up like having a relationship and all that jazz. I enjoyed it. Like, this one was different. So in book 3, you get like a lot of sexy time because that's how like the relationship started. In book 4, you kind of get the opposite because it follows like a little bit like older couple um who aren't like as hormonally driven, I guess. Like, obviously older people have relations as well, but that's not like the most like, I'm not going to say that's not like an important thing, but it's not like the at the forefront. Like, you know, they enjoy spending time with each other, like quality time together, not just like sexy time together. And so there's a lot like less sexy time. Not that there isn't sexy time, because there is. um they have some time, but significantly less than book 3. So yeah, and it drives me, I'm sorry, I don't remember the characters' names at all. That was very early in the month. Then I think, do I have the rest of them? Yes, I'm gonna put my wine down because I need to grab the rest of these books. Then I read Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. I did this I read this as a buddy read with Chloe. I gave this like 3 to 3.5 stars. I guess we'll call it like 3.25 stars. I didn't hate it. There are things that I really didn't like about it, but they were somewhat minor things. It read really quickly. I will at least read the next book in the series to see if I want to continue. It wasn't like the most fantastic thing I've ever read. So in this, you follow Becky. She is a shopaholic, like, to a T. Like, she legit has a shopping problem. And she finds herself in a lot of like debt. I mean, she's in debt and she's trying to figure out how to get out of debt. And so, you know, she's heard like, oh, there are like basically 2 ways to get out of debt, which is increase your income or decrease your spending. So she's like trying different ways to like do both of those. And she's like avoiding calls and meetings with like banks and debt collectors and things like that. So it's fine. There's not like a firm, like, there's not like an action-packed plot. And I feel like a lot of this book was probably like setting up for the rest of the series, because this is a fairly like long series, I think. I don't know. It looks like there's at least 4, 5, I don't know, books in the series. So like it's kind of more like character focused on Becky. The one like major complaint that I had was in the resolution at the end. I did not like how it all kind of like worked out. And I said this in my blog, and I know I said this, like, I know that it's fiction, and so things aren't going to happen like realistically every time when it comes to like a book, but I really feel like with how much like trouble she was in, the ending was like very neat and tidy, and that kind of like irked me a little bit. Then I read Life with the Afterlife, 13 Truths I Learned About Ghosts by Amy Bruni. I gave this 4.5 to 5 stars. I personally loved this book. Amy Bruni, she is one of the co-hosts of the show Kindred Spirits. She got her like rise to fame, if you will, on Ghost Hunters. And I watched Ghost Hunters like when she was on it. I still technically watch it. And then I have like binged watched her entire show Kindred Spirits. And I love it. Like, I think what she does, I think she does it very well. I love the approach that her and her partner Adam Berry had in the show. With all of that being said, would I recommend this to anyone and everyone? Absolutely not. Because if you do not believe or are even like slightly like if you like, I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and say like hard and fast ghosts exist, but I'm also not completely dismissing the possibility of ghosts. Whereas like John, for example, thinks that it's completely bogus and stupid and kind of makes fun of me for watching those shows. So I'm not going to recommend this for anyone that I see walking down the street. However, I personally really enjoyed it because I follow her. I enjoyed getting kind of like a more behind the scenes like take as to like what we don't see on the TV show. Because obviously they can only fit so much in like a 45-minute episode. And all of the stuff that goes into it. And, you know, she is very like honest and open about the fact that like, hey, there are places that we go that are not haunted and people get really upset when we tell them that. So if you watch her show, if you believe in ghosts, if you think that ghosts might possibly exist and you don't know, I would recommend this to you. But any Joe Schmo walking down the street, no. Very good for me, not a book I would recommend for everyone. Then we have Peonies Poison by London Lovett, book 7 in the Port Danby series. In this, it is the middle of summer. It is incredibly hot in Port Danby, which like, I don't know, like I feel like that was like a major, like somewhat of a like very, like it was made a very big deal. And I think it like helped set the scene very well, but like, I don't know. I thought it was like slightly funny how much emphasis there was on how hot it was. It's really hot in Port Danby, and Lacey and James are kind of spending some more time together, and they're trying to find a way to escape the heat. And Lacey hears about this like vintage movie night, and suggests they go to that. And while they are at this theater, somebody ends up dead, and so they solve the case. That's a very, very brief synopsis. Is this the one where Lola goes away? Yes, Lola also goes away. She goes to France for a little excursion, which doesn't really play into the murder like at all. It's just something that happens. And as we all know with cozy mysteries, you really get to like, it's not just about the mystery, it's about like becoming familiar with like the protagonist and all of her or his depending like friends, and like you just really get to know the people in the town. So Lola also goes to France. This was 5 stars. Then we have Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. Oh my gosh, guys. I love these graphic novels so much. I really just need to buy them. They are so stinking cute, and they just like make my heart so happy. So in this, obviously you're still following Charlie and Nick. They are like in a full-fledged relationship, which happens at the end of volume 1, so it shouldn't really be spoilers. And they are really, really developing strong feelings for each other. Nick is also concerned about Charlie because Charlie is exhibiting some concerning signs about some things. And Nick is very, very like concerned about him, worried about him, doesn't know how to like express his concerns. It's just so sweet. I love this graphic novel so much. Sidebar, I also watched the adaptation on Netflix and was legit like bawling my eyes out at the end. I finished it last night, and that is, I say this in my blog, so spoilers for that, but it is like an incredibly well done adaptation. So good. Guys, five, like I would give this like 1,000,000 stars, this entire series. It's so sweet. If you're looking for like a very easy to read graphic novel, I definitely recommend. It's just amazing. I love it. That's all. Like I can't say enough good things about it. And then I know this is not the last book I read in April, but it's the last book on my list, and that is a reread of A Time Ive Dread by John Gwynne, which is book 1 in the Of Blood and Bone series. I re-listened to it so that I could read book 2 and kind of remember what was going on. Still like a solid 4 stars. So this takes place 100-ish years after the Faithful and the Fallen series. So there are, like, you could read this without having read The Faithful and the Fallen, but if you ever think you might read The Faithful and the Fallen, don't read this first. That's what I'll say about that. Because like I said, there are like somewhat spoilery things in this. But without giving any of those spoilers away. So this is written in a very similar style to the Faithful and Fallen series. You follow like a fair amount of characters, but it's very easy to keep track of. So the main characters in this, you have, oh, that's ripping. You have Bleda, who is like a young-ish, well, like a boy. He gets like captured and taken to stay with the Benelum, I believe. You have Drem, who is another like younger, I don't know how old they are, like a teenage boy who is a hunter with his father. You have Riv. She is a like warrior training to become a what's the word? To become a warrior like of like the Benelum. Is that all of the characters you follow? You get Sig, who is a character from the Faithful and the Fallen series. That shouldn't be too much of a spoiler because Sig's a giant and they like live forever, which is made pretty obvious in the Faithful and the Fallen. I think those are the main like the perspectives that you get. And basically all of these characters end up coming together to basically to fight evil again. Which, I mean, that's basically, like, that's like a very bad synopsis of most fantasy series. They are fighting, it's good versus evil, but yeah. Really, I just need, like, John to, like, talk about this more. He's a lot better at summarizing fantasy books because there's so much going on. Like, because you have these like 4 to 5, however many I named, different perspectives, like until they all come together, it's kind of like, okay, so like this is happening here with Bleda and this is happening here with Drem. Actually, Bleda and Riv end up coming together. So they're together, and Sig and Drem end up coming together in this. So, but like you have like these 4 different perspectives trying to like piece it all together. It gets a little bit, I don't want to say confusing or hard to follow, but you're kind of like trying to figure out like a lot of the book is like trying to figure out like what the conflict is and how it's going to like resolve itself. And then like it's the first book in a trilogy, so like there's not a ton of like resolution. You are kind of left on a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of this one. So I need to dive into A Time of Blood. So that is my April wrap up. 9 books, a decent amount of audio, a decent amount of physical reads, a decent amount of cozy mysteries. It was a good month. Like, yeah. So how was your April? What did you read? What was your favorite book? Have you read any of these? Yeah, all that good stuff. Chat with me down below. That is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.